We got some fire on this next one. So first up, I want to bring this guy up. I've had the pleasure of knowing this guy for a few years now. Moved to Columbus, Ohio. You can see him all over the place, man. He has his own insurance agency, got properties all over the place. My man, Mr. Fox, he said Jermaine. Jermaine is the name. I want everybody to drop the 7s in the chat and shake your keys for the also Mr. Jermaine Fox.
What's happening? Thanks for the intro, Dave.
Hey.
Good? You good?
Yeah, I'm doing good today, baby.
All right.
Here, man. Hey, who we got next, Brittany? Who we got next?
Next, coming to the stage, to the live stage, I have the honor, the pleasure of introducing this woman who has been a phenomenal person in my life. She's actually my personal realtor, so I'm happy to announce that as well. Everybody give it up to the queen realtor, mogul, Danielle Alexander. Shake your keys and drop your 7s.
Hey. How you doing? How you doing? All right. So who we got up next?
Next.
So let me introduce this man. You know what I'm saying? I've been seeing him in the chat. I've been seeing him pubbing the event all over the place. You know, he manages accounts, 3 million to 3 billion. My guy's a mogul. He doing his thing. Give it up for Mr. Howard Hughes III.
How y'all doing?
All right. So I'm gonna do a transitional announcement because I gotta fall off so we can bring our next speaker up. So I get the honor, the distinct pleasure of bringing my soul war up to you guys today. She's a real estate mogul herself, coming from the ATL, Miss Sonia Booker.
Hello.
Hey, take those keys. We can't wait to hear. I know you're gonna get those keys all night, all right? Well, so I get the pleasure of introducing this young lady. She's going to be your facilitator, your moderator, all right? She's going to make sure y'all stay on task and y'all dropping those keys, all right? So this young woman's been supporting the brand, supporting the movement. She's like, the third co-host right now, and she's about to drop those keys. She got some great questions for you guys, all right? So give it up for the author, Brittany, Eddy.
All right. So can everyone hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Yes. All right, let's do this thing. So this is just going to be real informal. This is like a conversation with your colleagues, right? So you guys are industry experts. Let's give these folks keys, tangible keys, right? So that they can walk away and know what it means to buy, sell, build, or invest in real estate and how they can add this to their portfolio as we think about wealth building and generational wealth, right? So I'm going to let you guys go ahead, kind of do a brief introduction, just a couple housekeeping rules. 2 minutes for your responses. We want to stay on task. We want to get as many questions in as possible. And then 1 minute if you're responding to something that someone else is piggybacking off of, right? So I'm going to go ahead and get started with Miss Sonia Booker. Sonia, I picked up your book in 2008, unbeknownst to you. And I tell people that representation is extremely important because you were the first African-American woman that I actually picked up a book that was talking about real estate and wealth building. So humble salute to you virtually. And thank you for doing what you have been doing for so many years. Could you tell the people just how cold you are?
Well, first of all, I'm completely flattered and honored. I've been investing, I say this in the most humble way that I can, like all my life. Like I have been in real estate. I was born in it, and you really don't understand that value or that importance until you've been doing it for a little while. You're like, how do I know this? How do I, how have I come to learn as much? What I thought was so important is representation is everything. And I think about that from a standpoint of when I started investing in real estate, there were not people who looked like me. There were not all the rooms that I had to go in and kind of decode were rooms full of old white men. So I was always being asked, am I the realtor or am I somebody's wife? And then that was a whole nother situation. So, as I kept showing up, because I'm like, no, I'm here to write the check. No, nothing against real, but I'm the investor. I'm the one that's going to be writing the check. And I think about that. And so as I continue to show up in those rooms and continue to master the art of investing in real estate, I realized how important it was to document that journey and to write about it, because people started asking me, how am I doing this? And I had a reference point, which is my grandfather, and we owned property. I used to go pick up rent checks and, things like that. I'm 12, 13 years old. And so I had this reference point for real estate. And then I started hosting real estate meetups in my living room, 15 years ago, just wanting to tell other people, how are you buying these investment properties? And I wanted to share that information. I realized that we have to consume information by people who look like us that make it that much more palatable of what we could do and accomplish. And so thank you for, picking up the book. And I hope that you got some keys and some nuggets. It is my book, Real Estate and Wealth, Investing in the American Dream, was the first book I wrote. And I've since have written 2 other books. It's an Essence bestseller, and it serves as a guide to investing in real estate. And what I love about it, it's a classic book. I pick it up, I reference it from time to time. The only thing that changes in the real estate, you buy low, you sell high, you look for all that's always the same. It's the market that you need to understand, and all the other stuff that you need to understand that goes into a transaction. So I'm Sonia Booker, and I am honored to be a part of this summit today.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to take it over to the other queen on the panel, Miss Danielle Alexander. Tell the people who you are. Danielle, are you muted? I can't hear you. All right, I got you now. Are you still muted there? Danielle, we can't hear you. There you are.
How about now?
We got you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Let's go.
All right. Sorry, I just finished up a contract. I have been working until this event. I actually finished writing a contract with the buyer, so I'm in my car right now. So I've been selling real estate since 1995. I started off in home sales within my home. I sold new home construction for 17 years, and I've been licensed with a Coldwell Banker for 8 years. My son just joined real estate. I didn't just join. My son's been selling real estate with me for 5 years now, so we're Mom and Son real estate team. So I help buyers' dreams come true. I help sellers. I help buyers. I help investors. So I'm here to make dreams come true through real estate.
That's awesome.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm going to take it over to the fellas. Mr. Jermaine Fox, tell the folks who you are, sir.
I'm Jermaine Fox with eXp Realty. Like Danielle, I was in new home sales for 3.5 years first, and I got my license in 2011. And now I'm in the transition stage and try to build a bigger team, and that's why I switched to eXp. But I like everything about real estate. I have rental property. I flip houses. Like I said, I got the insurance company, so I can help people with homeowners insurance and life insurance. But like she said, real estate's a legal hustle. So I'll be in this till the day I die.
That's good stuff. Real estate is a legal hustle. I like that. That's good. All right, Mr. Howard Hughes III. Listen, before I was doing some research on the panelists, I said, let me look up Howard Hughes. And I just looked up Howard Hughes II. And I said, oh, boy, this man is coming with some fire. Now, you still rightfully cold in your own right, but I was looking at the wrong Howard Hughes for a minute. So I'm really happy to have you on the panel. And I know you're going to drop the keys. So tell the people who you are.
Hey, well, I appreciate that. I'm Howard Hughes III. So I'm a high net worth wealth manager, but I'm also a merger and acquisition and business specialist in real estate. So I handle accounts with private equity groups from $3 million, $3 billion, and been doing that for quite some time now.
A lot of money. A lot of money. I gotta make sure everybody on the panel has their keys, man. We can't be.
I found some keys. I'm like, I want to
That's not gonna be right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Brittany, Eddy, I'm here out of Central Ohio as well. I consider myself a real estate entrepreneur because I was an entrepreneur for as long as I can remember. I was the little girl at school selling the gum to folks before I even knew what the word entrepreneur meant, and so here I am. I'm a licensed realtor in the state of Ohio as well. Absolutely love what I do. I do tell people I fell into being a real estate agent by accident because I thought I was picking up Sonia's book in 2008 to just solely be an investor. I didn't know, I was going to go to school and they were going to teach me how to be an agent. But what I tell people is that there really is no blurred lines between being an agent because you should come to the table with an investor mindset. If we're truly about seeking to really serve our communities, I believe that every person that is, whether you're a real estate agent or whether you're a real estate investor, you should be coming to the table with the mindset to serve our communities, right? And so we're going to go ahead and just get right on into this thing, the meat and potatoes. We keep hearing about the term buy back the block. What does that mean and what does that look like in tangible steps? What are one to three things maybe that we can do to be in position to buy back the block or buy our blocks back?
So I can start, Brittany, because that's a big conversation. And I love that we're having it. And I love that people are thinking that way. But like you say, how do you back up that action? What does that really look like? I want to start by saying, I think it's important that people understand or know this fact about real estate and about land. There was more land owned by Black people in 1860 as there is now in 2020. That's according to inequality.org. So the amount of acreage that we owned in 1860, and when you let that sink in and you understand the value that our ancestors put on land, when we start quoting this term, 40 acres and a mule, sometimes we don't realize that it was slaves. It was freed slaves who set that deal up, and that's what they requested. And the people said, "Wow, they're a lot smarter than we thought. They're asking for land." So they understood what we are just getting back around to. We've sold away so many fortunes, not to mention what's been stripped away, from us over the years. And so for people to be getting back to this value proposition around land is really, really key. I love people having those conversations. What I think is going to help us more, and this is what I think is real key here. When you start thinking about generational, I have a 10-year-old son, and I own land. So if we own less land and we're losing that much land mass, we're not buying land, what that does is that says our future generations are going to be put in situations where they might be told, you guys got to go live over under the tunnel down, the street because you don't have any land. So we get to tell you where you live. So this is a generational problem or potential problem. So as we're buying blocks, the way that we need to approach that is to do the research and to understand where we're buying and understand what we're creating. And then as hard as it is to imagine group economics, we're really going to have to get there when we have these big lofty goals, because we really are making a little headway, and we look at the few people in our circles and we think, yeah, she got some land, he got a few acres over there, and we think that we're doing good, but as a community we're not. We're really not. So group economics and having smart people like Howard Hughes and people that really deal in that side of finances and real estate are going to be people that help us build that trust factor to understand how that money is going to work and how that's going to happen.
Okay, so that's for me. hopping on to say we being stingy with the keys, y'all. We
okay.
We don't want to be that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
That's why I'm hopping on.
Yeah. And so that's important. So just that basic step is to find that circle and to have that conversation and to really start being about it and not just tell. It's not a sound bite. You know, it is like it's very doable, but it will take teams of people doing this and models, you know, for us to really understand it. And we're doing it, and we've begun doing it. I'll talk a little bit about that, and kind of how we're going about it. But and my key has always been we got to build a model for it, and you know, yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
Anybody else wanting to chime in on that?
Yeah, I'll piggyback. I'm sorry if I interrupt anybody, but I think that was great. You, Sonia Booker, you hit right on the head with the group economics. I'm sorry. So right now, and that's essentially what I do on a smaller platform, but business owners, people of us, we're creating a community for us. That's what Buying the Block Back is. It doesn't necessarily mean buy the hood. I mean, we were kind of stationed in those areas, but creating that community where we're all thriving, where there's businesses that are thriving, where there's where we're working together, where we have banking, we're offering and lending to each other at equal opportunity.
Yep.
You know? So I think that was fantastic.
Thank you.
No, that's good. David D-Berry, who just hopped on here and was telling us we was being stingy with our keys. He had the same, I think it's the same article really that you're referencing, in which it said that five of the largest white landowners in America own more of the rural land than all of Black America.
Oh yeah, and one in particular owns Ted Turner owns, you know, like the equivalent of the Black land population, like one person.
Wow. Wow.
So it's like, you know, it's serious. And when you think about those ancestors, you know, of those kids and those generations, they're going to have a lot of control over our futures. Yep. And we just hope that they're as generous as Ted Turners or the seniors and stuff, you know, that they, you know, but when we think about media, you know, because the other one that owns a lot, Boone Pickens, they're all, you know, very big media moguls as well. And even Jeff Bezos of Amazon, and I need people to hear this because we're helping to make a lot of money, and what they're doing with their money, Jeff Bezos just bought over 400,000 acres. Let me say that again, 400,000 acres in Texas.
Wow.
And, you know, so we're like consuming,
that's crazy.
And we're like, you know, and then they're taking the money, like, because they know no more land is coming. God is not like dropping down another million.
Making more land, right?
No, just got it together. Okay, here y'all go. Y'all buy this. Like, no. So nobody's really giving us, those sound bites aren't popular. Nobody's really, you know, and to Jermaine's point, you know, I've done everything in real estate in terms of, you know, single family. I started out as single family, buying houses, living in them, you know, selling them after 2 years so I wouldn't have to pay the capital gains, and, you know, just going into flipping. But I always knew that where I started wasn't where I wanted to necessarily end up. And when I was flipping, it was more of a means to an end, because if I was ultimately going to build wealth, I had to keep the asset. I had to have that asset. And if I was flipping everything, and so, you know, when you have a plan and you're flipping, that's different, because you're flipping money and you're like, okay, I'm going to, you know, buy this, I'm going to upgrade, I'm going to do that.
That's key.
Yeah, that's very key. And I think
you have a plan when you have a plan when you're flipping. Because I think a lot of times people think about real estate as a get rich quick kind of industry to get in, right? They're like, oh, you're in real estate? Wow. You make a lot of money.
TV ruining the world. That's what that is. You know, that's a 30-minute, $50,000, you know, and it's like, that ain't, you know.
That's not reality.
That's not reality. And then the people who are
too much HGTV. Too much HGTV.
It also goes into, I think it also goes into knowing what to do with money. So a lot of us get money and we don't necessarily know what to do with it. So if we understood the opportunities that are available, so with the business acquisitions, most people don't know that if I take $10,000, but this company is struggling over here, I can buy 20% of that business and get $2,000 every single month.
Right.
So putting your money to use, you know what I mean? Treat your money like an employee, so that way, because it's a much better employee than you are.
Right. Well, Howard, I think with that though, you're saying something in the sense of
that's always my biggest thing.
Oh, you there? All right.
Yeah, I'm here.
I said, I think you said something in the sense of, I can hear you. We can hear you. You were saying, you were starting along the track of talking about real estate from a standpoint of operating it as a business. I think when people want to get into real estate investing specifically, they're not thinking about it from operating it as a business, right? They're literally just thinking, I'm going to fix this house. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to get my money from it. And then that's what I'm going to do with it. So talk to us a little bit about, what it means to structure an actual real estate business, because that is drastically different than someone just thinking they want a quick buck and they want to wholesale a property, or they're operating a wholesale business or a fix and flip business, or they're buying and holding as a business.
Yeah. There's so many sectors to the real estate side of things, and it gets really fun and really exciting, especially if you have a passion for it. But with the commercial and the business acquisition side, there's a lot of businesses and business owners that are looking to sell their real estate along with the business itself. Yep. So an owner may want to get out. They have no one to pass it to. And you're able to buy that turnkey business, the real estate and the acquisition, to where now you're just the owner. They still want to operate it until they die. You just have to transition or keep in mind the plan that what's going to happen until that person really wants to exit out.
Yeah. So
pretty much what I do day to day is I talk to business owners and, investors who want to buy these different businesses, whether it's manufacturing, aerospace, or even smaller businesses, but they want to actually buy the business, keep everybody there, keep the staff there, let everything operate and run itself. But now I have an investment vehicle that's purchasing all my liabilities, that's paying for all my liabilities. That's good. This is another side of real estate that a lot of people really don't see. And it kind of helped me out early on. I started with my consulting firm, and I started doing marketing and sales, helping businesses with their sales. So then I got into speaking directly with business owners that were failing. And when I was speaking with them about their failing business, I was helping them out with, hey, I'll just come in and market. And I actually, instead of actually buying that business, I partnered with a business owner and I did the marketing side. Now I own this business, but I'm helping her grow. Now I have residual income coming in. But what that helped me jump into was going and buying equity into a business where I'm just paying for ownership because that business is struggling, but this money will help you stay afloat. Now I have residual income coming in every single month. So the same amount of money people,
Go ahead. No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just saying you were humble enough to go in and know what you knew, but were prepared to know what you didn't know, it sounds like, and get in the door and understand, have those folks take you under your wing essentially.
Yeah, in that aspect as well. In some aspects of aerospace, when I wasn't very familiar, but I could still go in and say, hey, I have an additional 50 grand. I want to buy ownership in this business, but just make sure that I get $5 grand a month within this business. I know you're in need of this 20 grand or whatever, but I just need $5 grand every single month. I'm sure this will take you afloat. So having that type of conversation, but now you're in a position where you're owning all these different businesses. You have nothing to do with them because you help that company stay afloat in their toughest times. But there's thousands and thousands of businesses that are available like that, where you're actually buying real estate and you have something to hand down to your kids. You can hand that share down to them, and now they have that residuals coming in. But yeah, it boils down to that group economics that Ms. Sonia was talking about, where we coming together and understand creating this community. So we were really to put that time and effort into creating this community and buying ownership of different businesses. I know several people, probably yourselves as well, who may take a $50,000 flip. You're going to put 50,000 in, but you're going to sell it for 85.
Yeah.
But if you take that 50,000 and you break that up into 5 different businesses, now you have $2,000 a month coming in from each one. You don't have to work anymore.
Right.
I mean, in that round.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. Jermaine, I'm gonna take it over to you. I want you to tell the folks how you started your first deal. I mean, we have probably a plethora of folks on here that have knowledge sets in all different realms. Everyone is not at a certain level, right? Everyone is at different levels. And so for the person out there that's saying, look, I just want to do my first deal. How do I get started? What would you tell them? And anybody can chime in after that.
On your first deal, like a flip, the best way to do it is find an angel investor, a private investor to give you some hard money. Because obviously you're starting out, you don't have the money to purchase the property and fix it up yourself. You're going to get the best terms like that. But now I'm mentoring a kid and he had a little bit of money and I showed him how to get hard money from Lima One. So he had like 30 grand, purchased the property for 48. And then he got like another $50,000 in hard money from Lima One. Sold it for 130. He made his first deal, made $30,000. So he invested 30 and made 30. So that's how you get started. And now he's leveraging his time. He's finding more flips with wholesalers that I introduced him to. And once you do the first, no one wants to give you no money because they don't, you haven't done anything. But once you do that first one and put it in your portfolio, then everybody wants to help you out and give you money. And then it just goes from there. That's how I would do my first one with some hard money or a private investor. My first one was a private investor. It was small. It was $35,000, and it cost $35 to fix up. I already had the buyer. We sold it for $110, so we ended up making, like, after fees and stuff, like $17,000 a piece. But like I said, that's how I got started in flipping. Then I kind of got burned out a little bit because I didn't make as much as I wanted on another deal. Like I made $5,000.
How long did it take you to do the project itself? Because that's the piece that gets left out. People are interested in fixing and flipping homes, but they don't see the size where you bought the property, you thought it, that you didn't get the plumbing correct or something. How long did it take you to fix that one?
I think the first one took 10 to 12 months. Because like I said, I wasn't really familiar with construction. I just talked to a bunch of contractors, got a bunch of quotes. And as I was doing it, I started picking up on how much stuff costs, what was a good deal, this and that. But you want to account for about 10% because there's always going to be unforeseen costs that you can't see. So that very first one, they had converted the garage into living space. And day one, the contractor's fixed and he called me panicking. He's like, Jermaine, the wall fell down. I'm like, walls just don't fall down. What are you talking about? Well, it had termite damage, and the wall where the garage was literally fell down. It was raining. He had to prop it up with a 2x4, and I was like, man, I just lost a bunch of money. So we had to cut like the whole first floor halfway up the wall to see the sill plates and stuff, and we had to replace all that. It cost like extra $6,000. But even with that,
where did you get the $6,000 from? I mean, these are the type of questions that people are probably thinking in their head. Hey, I get started. I think this is some of the reason why sometimes we don't get started in real estate because we're overthinking that we're going to be losing money. We don't already have. These sorts of things. So where did you pull the $6,000 from during that?
Well, like I said, that deal was a private investor. So he pretty much gave me the money I needed. I said, this is what I need to budget. And even though it was $6,000 more, I budgeted for 10% more. So that covered it. It was $70,000. I budgeted for an extra $7,000 in my numbers. So when I got hit with that $6,000, it didn't mess up anything for me.
So wait a minute. You said you had a budget?
Yeah. You got yeah. So when I mean budget, like an investor wants to know, okay, you bought it for 35, how much it's going to cost me to fix up, how much it's going to sell, what's my profit margin? So it was 35, it was going to cost like $30,000 to fix up. I told my guy roughly 40,000. I gave myself like an $8,000 to $10,000 cushion just in case, because I didn't know. And luckily I did that. So when I did get hit with that termite damage in the wall, it was in the budget to fix this stuff.
That's good. So,
and plus, like I said, once you do one, whoever you're with usually trusts you. And if you do hard money, same thing. You just ask for extra money just in case. You want to be safe and sorry. You want to, when you run the comps, you don't want to say everyone get top dollar. You want to be kind of in the middle. And when you're fixing it up, always add additional costs. And if you still have a spread, it's a good buy. That way it's hard to lose.
So
Danielle, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Add to just a couple of things to that. When you say, how do you get started? I think what's important is a lot of people say, I want to invest in real estate. That's like a buzzword, you know, and buzzword, right? But it's like at least 10, 12 different ways you can invest in real estate. So it's like really, I always tell people to like really understand their time, their money, and their credit to determine what kind of investor you're going to be. You know what I mean? Like yeah, you know. And so
we're the king.
That's where I jump out there. And so my first deal was, you know, just doing a house for myself, you know, which is a whole different process and so many reasons. And so I encourage people, a lot of times people haven't had their first home, like they don't have their home and they're like talking about investing. Right. So I always say, buy your first home, you're with Danielle and you're Jermaine, and buy your first home, but buy it like it's going to be your investment property. That's good. You know, buy it as if you're looking at all the costs, you're looking at the rental income of that area. You're buying it, but you're going to live in it a year, 2 years, and then you're going to actually have equity, you know, that you can put towards something else or make that one your rental. And that because, you know, imagine that, you know, then saying I'm just going to rent for the next, I can buy this dream house. You know, it's like start somewhere and then build from there. And then I'm a big proponent because I have a lot of women investors. Big proponent of partnering, and partner with your darn contractor. Contractors make some of the best partners because you know that's going to be your biggest barrier. So don't try to pay your contractor $20,000 to do it. Bring your contractor in as a partner on the deal so that y'all are splitting the money 50-50. So my first deals with my contractor was I would use my credit, I would get the property, I would put the down payment, I would do everything, service the debt. He would do everything with the budget, make sure the contractors were, make sure the subs were, you know, the property was on track, all of that, because your deal is screwed based on a contractor, based on anything going wrong, you know, with a contractor. You know, and you're hinging that on and you're trying to run your business or you're, you know, at work and you want to invest in you know, in real estate. So I always tell, you know, I have 2 women that get together and invest, you know, because you don't have all the time and you don't have all the knowledge. Somebody got to go check on the property. Somebody got to make, you know, and so partnering, just, you know, getting together, having that common interest. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. I have, you know, snapshots and actual joint venture agreements in the book because those are important just to outline the transaction. We're going to do this,
joint venture agreement.
You know, this is going to fall apart, you know, and so nobody's mad. It's like we said, I buy the property from you if you didn't uphold your part. And so you want to go into it thinking it's going to work out great, but you want to have the paperwork to prepare for what happens when it doesn't, you know. So that those are some ways that I think you really get started, get a plan, you know, and figure out what type of investor you want to be and consider getting a partner that may be your contractor.
Yeah, the partner thing is huge because that's what I didn't like when I was doing the beginning, because you got to be there every day to check on the contractors. They're not going to work. If you're not there, it's like babysitting. They don't do work. 2-3 days goes by, nothing gets done. So I was there every day, make material runs, that's not my thing. I sell houses.
Yeah.
And when I didn't make the spread I wanted, I'm like, $5,000 ain't worth my time being there managing people for 3 months. I got out of it. But now I have wholesalers find the properties for me, a project manager run the job for me. I bought a house the other day. I think it was $70,000. I didn't even see it. Mm-hmm. I rode by 2 days before I purchased it to make sure everything was good. I didn't go inside. Bought it Friday, Monday. They cleared it out with a hoarder's house, and it'll be ready in 45 days now because I got crews now to help me with that stuff because I want my time. Like he said, with partnering the equity in business, I'm trying to scale it to where I can do 4 or 5. Right. And all I got to do is run comps and make decisions and have the money available and have people writing checks for me.
You built a system, but you built a system around it, and that's your business. You're in the business now, but people who are jumping in, like, you know, you've built a system now, and that system is like a pipeline. So that's but for generational wealth, like you said, right now the market's booming, so I want these quick flips.
but I'm taking that money and buying rental property for my passive income. Or now I'm about to talk to Howard. We're going to get in some more equity acquisitions because I want more stuff he's talking about now.
So it seems like some people are.
Go ahead.
It seems like people are asking questions on how to get funding. How are you guys funding these houses, these businesses, et cetera, especially when you're just getting started? Well, these private equity groups, they are very flexible nowadays. So like, as long as you have, no matter what the amount is, I've funded, deals that were 50 million, I say 100 million. So as long as you have 15% down and some collateral, you can 90% chance you'll get whatever you're asking for.
So 15%.
That's the one.
15% down
15%
in collateral. So that means you got to come to the table with something, right? So you mean that these zero down homes and things that people are always hearing, does that still exist? Can people buy homes for zero down? What does that look like?
Let me clarify. I'm sorry. Let me clarify. So deals that are, if you're looking to fund a project that's over $1 million, all you need is 15% down and some collateral. Anything that's under $1 million, if you're making over 50 grand a year and you have at least a 650 credit score, you can get up to 400,000 on great terms.
And see, that's good because with his money, it's better than a bank because a bank wants you to put 30% down or something like that. So I was wanting to buy an apartment building of 20 plus units in the next 12 to 16 months. And that's the thing. I was like, all right, well, I got to have X, Y, Z. If it's 2 million, 600 grand. So it helps that he can do better financing, and probably the rates are probably better too.
Yeah, we can always beat a bank for sure.
Yeah, that's huge.
Danielle, I want to take it to you. I haven't heard from you, so I want to bring it to you. You do a lot of specializing in luxury, so I'll shift it a little bit. You do a lot of specializing in luxury real estate. Talk to us a little bit. Within the Black community, we typically think that those price points are too expensive for us. I can't buy no home at that price point. That's not where I want to be. How does a person get themselves to a point where they can purchase luxury real estate? And that number looks different in different markets. So talk to people about what that looks like in your market in particular, and what you would advise people on in terms of getting to that point.
Oh, that's a good question. So luxury real estate can start anywhere from $500,000 up to $1 million to $2 million in price range. Most of my buyers, since I've been in real estate for over 25 years, they're buying their second, sometimes their third home. So as we talked about equity, they're buying property, they're transferring equity into their second or third home purchase. Whether it's a $350,000, $400,000, $5,000, whatever the price range may be, that's luxury for them. I have a team of experts. I have developers that I speak with. I can help my clients find land. We can talk about building custom homes. So I'm able to figure out what is their needs and wants, have a conversation with them to obtain their needs and wants, and figure out what do they want to accomplish. So if they've been in their house in 5 to 7 years, I have clients who buy a house from me. Prime example, we put their house in the market in March. They were only in their house for 3 years. We sold their house and they made over $50,000 on that house. With that $50,000, they're taking the $250,000 investment. Well, they sold their house for $250,000, they made $50,000. So their next house that they're buying is over $375,000. Now that's not luxury, but for them, that's the price point that's giving them everything that they want in their move-up house. I also have clients who are looking to build a custom home that's over $500,000. So we're looking for land, we're interviewing custom builders, and we're putting everything that they want in their house. And it comes down to financing. So right now, the cost to borrow money, the interest rates are below 4%. So everything that they want based on their down payment, their mortgage payment is less than $3,000 a month, so it's within a range that gives them the luxury lifestyle that they want. So when I talk to my clients, I have to talk with them and figure out what is it that they're looking to do, what are their goals, what are their needs and wants, what are their price range, and my job is to find it, find the right lender, find the money, find access to capital, and make it happen.
That's good. That's good. So the markets all across the globe, we're on a global platform, all across the globe, it's not just the US, are saturated, right? I mean, they're just, people like, for example, here in Columbus, Ohio, people are now wanting to look for duplexes or triplexes, or, you know, they're starting to get hip to, let's buy my first property as an investment, as we were talking about, right? So many people are now looking for those that they're non-existent. They're starting to be non-existent. Talk to us a little bit about, Jermaine, you were mentioning, you were talking about wholesaling earlier. Folks come to me all the time. They say, how can I start making a quick buck, right, in real estate, so that I can begin to pay things down on my credit report, so I can get my credit together? Because we're seeing that credit is the biggest barrier with our folks when it comes to them wanting to start the process of investing or even just purchasing their first home in real estate. So talk to us a little bit about the people that are saying, hey, look, I want to wholesale. What does that look like in terms of someone wanting to get started in wholesaling real estate? And what type of mindset do they need to have as they think about wholesaling?
Well, like I said, wholesaling, you know, they ain't got to pay a couple grand to get the real estate license or anything like that. They can make calls and find people who are motivated to sell. Like someone inherits a house or something, or a house is ran down. They'll go through a neighborhood and see the weeds tall, and there's a dollar system. They'll call the owner and say, hey, I see you got this house sitting here. I'll give you 50 grand for it cash. And if they take it, they can turn around and sell it to me, an investor, for like $60,000 or $70,000. Then they have no money and they just made $10,000 to $20,000. That's what, well, a lot of people want to get into wholesaling because it don't cost no money to do it. But to be really good at it, you got to pay a couple grand in marketing and have the flyers and have a team and build a system. You
got to operate it as a business, right? As
a business. But you can get in. Like the other day, I had a contractor, and he was doing another deal. And when he's doing it, he's just a talkative guy. He was talking to the neighbors, and he found that deal I bought for $70,000. Actually, it was $60,000, and I gave him $7,500 for finding me the deal. So he had nothing in to make $7,500. Yep,
that's good. Sonia, you have done a lot in real estate. I want to hear about some of the mistakes that you have made in real estate, and what would you advise folks in terms of that you learned early on to do or to not do as they begin to venture into what it might look like to invest in real estate?
That's a really good question. I'm always like, if somebody only tells you all the good stuff, you know, you don't want to hear from that person. You know, and I always have to, whenever I get the opportunity to talk about real estate on any platform, I always have to give tribute to my mentor, the late Herman J. Russell, who was just a pioneer in the space. Yeah. And so to have that type of mentorship for 12 years was just an amazing for me. But, you know, I made so many mistakes, and I think, you know, but you learn from the mistakes. And so, you know, I was listening to, you know, Jermaine talking about, you know, and your question, where did you get the other $6,000 or the other money from? You know, he had a great relationship with a private lender that, you know, helped to fund that. And so a couple of my big mistakes was renovations. Like renovations, getting caught up on a renovation made me change my whole entire model. And I teach it from a conservative way that, you know, we always go into it with the amount we can make. I go into it with as if everything was going to go wrong. So, you know, imagine, you know, not being able to get out of bed for like days of just losing money. Like, oh my gosh, you know, the contractors are going to call me. I need more money for this property. I don't know where I'm going to get more money from, you know, and it was just like, you know, bury your head in the sand. And as I got through it, you know, talking to some friends, talking to some other investors, you know, getting more money together to get it finished. And my prayer was, just let me break even, God, just a break even, you know, and I promise I won't do any more real estate, you know, get me out of this and I'm done, you know, get me out of this one. I'm done. And so I realized that wasn't for me to throw in the towel, but to look at the model different. And because, you know, when we say about flipping or just real estate in general, if you got work that needs to be done, if you can't do it yourself, you're at a disadvantage already. If you can't do it, okay, and I can do it. You know, I can lay some towel, and you know, I can actually do some work. But then it becomes cost versus time and other stuff you need to do. So all of that. But here's the thing. So it made me change the whole model. So when I do my renovation models, here this I think is key. I look at it as if everything could go wrong. So when I'm looking at it and I'm having it inspected and they're like, oh, we'll be able to, service the AC. That's pretty old. Let's put in replacing it. Oh, it looks like we could patch the roof. We're going to put in, replacing a new roof. So I go through all the numbers as if everything that needs to be done is the worst case that it's going to need to be done. And then if my numbers work that way, when in my model, you're after repair value, all that, you're plugging in everything. If it works after that, and then I do a 20% reserve because I want to be as conservative as possible. So then when I get to the roof, I'm thinking I have to replace it. So I have a replacement dollar amount, but it can be repaired. Yes. Now I'm adding money to my line and I'm not stressing. I'm making, so that way I've gone into it that if all this works and I just have like a $25,000, $30,000 mark, and it's gotten a little higher over the years because, when you start talking about over 6 months or over time, it's like, that might be 30,000. It took me like 6 months to make it, 5,000 a month, so it starts to change and so you really have to look at that. And then, like you say, do I just put money in? I'm a very passive investor now. I do a lot of private lending myself, but I invest in the property, not the person. I invest in the know-how, but I invest as if I'm going to get that property back on my books. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I want that property on my books, but I'll be able to know what to do to get myself out of it. So being able to be very conservative, because we look at what we can make, but we never look at what we can lose. And that really changed my perspective from making mistakes, because I go into it as if, what's the worst case? And if I can live with the worst case, then I can back out of it. The other thing is the last time I was doing we were building new condos in 2007, 2008. Everybody knows what happened. Boom. Yeah, so in a real estate deal at any given time, you're only controlling about 75, 80% of that transaction, that what you could do. The other 20% is throw caution in the wind. You don't know what the market's going to do. You don't know what the interest rate's going to do. You don't know what political landscape is going to be. You don't know any of that. And all that has an effect around your transaction that you can't control. And so you go into those things with an A, B, and C plan. So here we are building, these luxury condos that we're going to sell. And, oh my goodness, they're going to be $250,000, $300,000 a unit, and nobody can get a mortgage. And all the stuff we were, dreaming up about this never incorporated. Nobody can breathe and get a mortgage. Couldn't have saw that happening. So but we had already ran the model of what would this look like as a rental. So we were able to see, and adjust, a little bit quicker, going, okay, we're into this. We should be 20% sold by now. We're at 0. Let's go into a rental market. So I always tell people, do your ACB plan. And if you can live with all of those, that's
how you know it's a good deal.
And it's a good deal, because some people can't, if you're hedging everything on one deal going right and you cannot afford to lose, you cannot afford timing, you cannot afford anything, don't do it. Yeah. Get a partner that knows, do something else. So, yeah.
So we have like 3 minutes. This happened way too quick. I thought I got like a whole page full of like questions and content. It was around opportunity zones. I really wanted to get into some meat and potatoes, but I think we coming up on rapid fire, where we would just need you guys to leave us with maybe like 1 to 2 keys for everyone in terms of tangible stuff that they can do to go ahead and get started, whether it's investing in real estate, whether it's purchasing their first home, if it's purchasing the first home from a mindset of real estate. And that could be speaking to anyone. It could be speaking to the beginner, or it could be speaking to the folks who have 200 plus doors and they're just not sure. They feel like they're over leveraging themselves and they don't know what their next step is. So drop a few keys for folks, maybe 1 to 2 nuggets on your final thoughts in terms of what tangible things people can do right now to go out and begin adding real estate to their generational wealth portfolio? And anybody can start.
Well, treat your money like an employee, as I said before. Put it to work. Allow your dollar to work for you instead of putting in that time. That's the first thing. And the second thing I would say is there's no such thing as business without a contract. So I learned that the hard way. But, contracts for everything.
All right, Danielle.
That's pretty much it.
All right. So for renting, if you're paying over $1,000 a month in rent, you need to own a home. Creating wealth begins first with investing. Invest in real estate. Have financial literacy. Understand the importance of a credit score, the importance of building your credit, the importance of starting wealth, which is investing in the roof over your head. If you're not sure if this is the right time to buy, consult with the real estate professional. Talk to an agent and just ask questions. Consult with them. I have some people who think, it's not the right time to buy, but interest rates are below 4%, 3.25%. A house that costs $150,000, your total payment would be less than $1,250 a month. Why not start investing in the roof over your head? It's your house. Those who want to invest, as we talked about, invest in your house first. If you're an investor, you have to first own a house before you start investing in property. If you're looking to move into your second, your third home and look for luxury homes, I can assist you with the luxury market. But the first step is to create wealth. Is start by investing in yourself, invest in a roof over your head for you, your family, and to build your legacy.
That's good stuff. Jermaine, what do you got?
Yeah, like Danielle and Sonia said, number one thing you should do is buy a house first, because after 2 years, you get that money you make off of it tax-free. I tell people when it's funny when they call and like, you renting that house? I'm like, no, I'm selling it. I said, I don't know if you got to rob, cheat, steal, do whatever you got to do, but you need to buy a house. They did a study at Ohio State that said what's the quickest way to go from lower middle class to upper middle class. It wasn't go back to school and get a master's. It wasn't going to law school. It was how young you buy a house propels you to give you that advantage. Because like I said, and one example, I've sold somebody a house. She was making like $12 an hour 7 years ago. She bought down there in Southern Orchards on an $80,000 house, but they revitalizing it. Brand new house. Fast forward 7 years, she sent me a message the other day. I ran comps. That house is worth $230,000. And she's gonna make all that money tax free. And she only makes $17 an hour. But she's literally gonna have over $100,000 because she bought a house. Now that's not everybody, but stuff like that can happen. You got to acquire stuff like they said. Another thing I'm looking into, I've been doing recently, is business credit. You can get business credit and use those lines of credit and help your regular credit and have debt there that's not going to hurt your debt to income ratio on the house or help you fund that project or whatever you want to do. So buy a house first, look into business credit. And even regular credit, use leverage. If you have great credit, you can get a line of credit at a low rate, and it can help you if someone needs $10,000. I loaned someone $10,000 the other day for 60 days, and they gave me $13,000 back. Mm-hmm. Like Sonia said, I invested in the house. I knew exactly where the money was coming from. They got their draws and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think I wanted someone in investing, so I helped them out. It wasn't even my money. I borrowed $10,000, gave that person $1,000, and I kept $2,000.
Right.
I kept $2,000. You know what I'm saying? Wow. But that's what you can do with leverage and knowledge. I'll let Sonia go because we ain't got much time left.
Yeah. Well, first I just want to say, this has never been a good time, the best time to buy a house. I mean, we all talk about like investing in real estate. You hear that more than home ownership. And I always say the numbers don't lie. Black people own 42% home ownership. It's too low. I love my Hispanic counterparts. They're up to 50%. They're higher than Black people. And so it gets down to our value and what we're valuing. When we look at these strategies and stuff, we know we start there and then we could be those investors and do all that stuff. But you're not going to get a 3.5% interest rate. Take advantage of those. And go to the site, my site, soniabooker.com. I have the 7 basic truths of wealth building on there. Free download, tangible steps, 7 basic truths of wealth building to get you started. Go there, and I'm looking forward to changing up this whole real estate game, because even as we're here, we're really talking about systems and everything that other people that the world has created that don't really work for Black people. So we gotta and the only reason we accept them is because they're he was a little key is because that they're they told us to accept them. So, you know, who said it has to be a 30-year mortgage? You know, who came up with that? You know, who said that who's FICO, who's Fair Isaac, who says that we're judged on credit scores? That, you know, like, we got to really, like, you know, really look at these systems that we're operating in. And since every system has fallen apart now during this pandemic, it's time for us to put together systems that actually work for us.
In our favor. That's good. That's good. All right. Well, David, hop back on. I'm going to go ahead and let him close us out. It's been a true pleasure. Like I said, man, I still had a whole page.
Opportunities don't work against Black people. I will say that. So we got to finish that conversation, because we got to be the ones investing in these opportunity zones, because they're not designed to help Black communities. So understand that as we, you know, your question about opportunity zones, that soundbite.
Yeah. So that always happens with our think tank. That always happens on our think tank. We get some thought leaders together, and it's like you can just go for hours on this. But the whole point of our events is for people to meet each other. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully y'all exchange each other's information, get the panelists' information, then we just keep this moving forward. I can't wait to when COVID is gone, I can blow down on y'all city, and y'all can teach me some more keys, and we can do an in-person event. So we appreciate all of you guys, and we've been blessed with the information. I literally took 2 pages of information. So once again, drop those keys, all right?
Okay.
So make sure you guys follow them, and we'll see you guys later, all right?
All right.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate the invite.